first they had a hard time apprehending this rider, but eventually pulled to the side. Obviously the violation would be no helmet on the passenger and driving in slippers. The driver showed some kind of old police ID card. I haven't seen that design for a very long time. Now, whether the ID is real or not, there's still a traffic violation. You can see the enforcer's writing out the ticket. But it seems like the enforcer may have some doubts about the legitimacy of that police ID. And there have been incidents broadcast on the news before about people being apprehended with fake police IDs. Now, I'm not saying the ID that he showed is fake, just that the enforcer wants to look at it a little bit closer. I remember one time a car was flagged down, and the first thing the driver said was, "Police ako," and then showed his gun. And I thought to myself, what kind of introduction is that? How does showing your gun prove that you're a police officer? Criminals also have guns. Seems more like a way to intimidate the enforcer. So you always have to be careful about what people tell you, because a lot of the time it's not actually true. Although the driver was able to show a license, seems like he can't show the ORCR, which could be a problem. This one's being flagged down now. I saw it in the distance, loading, unloading. It's a modernized jeepney. I know you're going to say, that's not a Jeep. Okay, but on paper it's considered as a modernized Jeep. Of course, a modernization program isn't just about modernizing the vehicles, but also the drivers and the mindset and the discipline. And I think to some degree it's even modernizing the enforcers. Because let's talk about what happened with NCAP. A lot of drivers, a lot of operators were suddenly surprised that they were getting so many tickets. Because before they could always beg the enforcer, but with the camera operator they couldn't do that. So they were getting hit over and over again with all of their violations. They'd become so used to doing whatever they want on the road without being apprehended that NCAP really took them by surprise. The enforcer's still waiting for the driver to hand over his license, but he appears to be delaying for some reason. The driver showed some kind of anti-crime ID and was saying it's just his first time, but they're still issuing the ticket. And you'll see there's another bus just behind him that's also being ticketed. It'd be very unfair if you let one go and then you ticketed the other one, especially because the penalty is quite heavy. It's really a heavy penalty to deter drivers. This is actually a bicycle lane, but when the guys arrived here, there was a jeepney parked. I guess he's waiting for passengers. He was actually cleaning the jeep, tidying it up. Oh, it looks like it really has a ticket, maybe from the LGU. At first I wondered why people kept going down there, and then I realized as more and more guys are doing it, it became a public urinal. And as you know, UV Express are meant to be point to point, but they often load and unload along the way, and it just so happens that today they have been apprehended and they're being issued tickets now. And I guess this rider's lucky that he was able to stop before anyone spotted him, because you'll see he has an excess passenger and neither of them are wearing helmets. This bus is now being issued a ticket for illegal unloading, or the equivalent of. Actually, I just remembered an interesting story that someone told me about the other day. They tried to apprehend an out-of-line bus on EDSA Pasai, and the bus driver literally went down from the bus and ran away on foot. So quite an interesting situation. Anyway, they impounded the bus and took it to LTO. Often what the drivers would say is, it was just a couple of passengers, I just did it quickly, and that's true. But what happens when every bus and every jeep is doing that across Metro Manila? You start to have a better understanding of why traffic is so bad. And eventually it goes from loading, unloading to, why don't we just wait here for a while? And then you end up with illegal terminals. So that's why they're trying to bring order to the system by having proper, strict terminals, strict loading, unloading areas, strict bus stops. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, build more roads. Okay, you build more roads, but they're also going to be full of illegally parked vehicles, vendors, illegal terminals. So if you don't get those existing problems under control, you're still going to have the same problem when you build more roads. And they just flagged down this rider here. Unfortunately, no helmet. Actually, it was the passenger that wasn't wearing a helmet. And then once they pulled to the side of the road, he put it on. So all along he had a helmet, but he just chose not to wear it. It's 1,500 wasted. Also driving in slippers, so potentially that's another violation. Allegedly, the passenger is a barangay kagawad, but I heard the enforcer say something along the lines of, So you should lead by example. And here's one of the constant battles they have around PITX, loading and unloading in the wrong places. And if you ask the bus drivers, they'll say, yeah, I know. But to some degree, I'm sure they're just trying to help passengers. But the more you do that, the more people get used to just loading and unloading wherever they want, and the system falls apart. And that's one of the things they've been trying to crack down on, the EDSA busway. Jaywalkers running across the highway and then flagging down a bus, even though there's no bus stop. And sometimes the drivers are picking them up, and that's why they're getting these really expensive tickets of like 5,000 or 6,000 pesos for loading outside of a approved terminal or bus stop. They're trying to flag down that bus. Is he going to stop? I think he is. And the good thing is they've got enforcers spread out across this area, because they do occasionally have this problem where they try and flag someone down and they don't stop, either by accident or on purpose. So by having manpower further along, you can call it ahead, or if they're watching, they can see it for themselves and then flag it down.